Acidente ali com Senna. Acidente com Ayrton Senna.
The most heartbreaking race weekend in F1 ever. Ayrton Senna's 7th lap of the 1994 San Marino Grand Prix should never have turned out how it did. Formula One lost its greatest hero, and the sport changed forever. But to understand why that day was called the blackest weekend in Formula One history, we need to go back. Senna arrived in San Marino in a good mood. He checked into his favorite room at the Castello Hotel in Bologna, room 200. It was the same room he had stayed in for years during his McLaren days, where he'd won all 3 of his world championships. But this year was different. 1994 was Senna's first season with Williams. He wanted a faster car, something that could win him his 4th title. On Saturday morning, he arrived at the track by helicopter. Calm, focused. But beneath the surface, Senna felt pressure. Williams had been unreliable. He needed to prove himself. On Friday, Formula One got its first warning. During practice, Rubens Barrichello, Senna's protege and close friend, launched into the air at over 225 kilometers an hour. His car smashed into the barriers violently. Senna was sure Rubens had died. He sprinted to the medical center, only to find Rubens conscious with a broken nose and ribs. When Barrichello opened his eyes, the first person he saw was Ayrton Senna, standing beside him, making sure he was okay. Senna went back out, set the fastest lap during the practice session, but inside, he was shaken. That night, he broke down on the phone with his girlfriend. For one of the only times in his life, Ayrton Senna cried, not for himself, for Rubens. Saturday made things even worse. Rookie Roland Ratzenberger lost his front wing at well over 300 kilometers per hour, went straight on at Tamburello, and hit the concrete wall. The impact was fatal. Senna rode in the safety car to the scene. By the time he arrived, Roland Ratzenberger had already been transferred away by ambulance. That's when F1 surgeon Sid Watkins, who saved Barrichello the day prior, told Senna the truth. Ratzenberger was already clinically dead. Later, Senna cried on Watkins' shoulder. He even said, "Let's quit this sport together and go fishing." Watkins told him to walk away, but Senna couldn't. Racing wasn't just his job, it was his identity. That night at the hotel, there was a wedding party going on. Senna posed for a photo with the bride and groom, but his mind was elsewhere. Later, on the phone with his girlfriend, he broke down again. He confessed he didn't want to race the next day. He had a bad feeling. But after a while, he decided to race, and he also said if he did win, he'd carry the Austrian flag on his victory lap, in memory of Ratzenberger. Race day. The atmosphere was tense. At the driver's briefing, Senna demanded the reinstatement of the Grand Prix Drivers Association to push for better safety standards. His fellow drivers agreed. But when the lights went out, disaster struck immediately. JJ Lehto stalled on the grid, Pedro Lamy slammed into him, and debris sprayed into the crowd, injuring spectators. The safety car came out. This wasn't like today's safety car. In 1994, it was a road car. Slow, too slow. Senna waved frantically, asking it to go faster. He knew his tires were losing temperature. Cold tires, cold brakes, a recipe for disaster. When the safety car finally pulled in, Senna led Schumacher at the restart. Lap 6, Schumacher closed the gap, and by lap 7, medics diagnosed Senna with severe head injuries. Although he was still alive, his chances of survival were very slim. The right front wheel broke loose, attached to suspension parts, and speared through Senna's helmet. The impact also snapped his head violently to the side, fracturing his skull. The world held its breath. Senna's car sat motionless. Marshals rushed to him. The first driver on the scene was Eric Comas, the man Senna had saved 2 years earlier when he stopped on track to rescue him after a crash. This time, Comas wanted to repay him, but it was too late. Senna was airlifted to a hospital in Bologna. Blood dripped from the helicopter as it landed. Hours later, doctors declared Ayrton Senna dead. He was just 34 years old. In his car, they found the folded Austrian flag he had planned to wave for Ratzenberger. The news shattered Brazil. the government declared 3 days of national mourning. 3 million people lined in the streets for his funeral. The entire country grieved. Formula One grieved. But questions quickly turned to why. Who was to blame? After Senna's crash, Italian authorities launched a criminal investigation under laws requiring accountability for fatal accidents at sporting events. They charged 6 individuals, including Williams team leaders Frank Williams, Patrick Head, and Adrian Newey, with manslaughter, arguing that a poorly executed steering column modification caused the crash. The original trial in 1997 acquitted them, concluding that Senna's steering column failure was the probable cause, but no evidence of negligence was found. An appeal followed, with the Italian Supreme Court of Cassation ruling in 2007 that the steering failure stemmed from badly designed and executed modifications, assigning responsibility to Patrick Head. However, because the statute of limitations had expired, he was not punished. While the legal system ultimately identified failure in the steering column as the root cause, it also reaffirmed that no one was criminally sanctioned. The verdict left a cloud of ambiguity. The tragedy was officially attributed to mechanical failure and technical misjudgment, but without holding anyone legally responsible. Senna's death, just 24 hours after Ratzenberger, forced Formula One to change forever. The FIA overhauled track safety, car design, barriers, medical response. All of it traces back to that weekend. Since then, no driver has died in Formula One race until Jules Bianchi in 2014. Countless lives have been saved by the lessons learned from Imola 1994. But Ayrton Senna's legacy is more than just safety. He was a national hero in Brazil, a symbol of hope. He was fearless on the track, compassionate off of it, and even in his final moments, he was thinking of others, carrying a flag for a fallen friend.